Hi there, welcome to Terraland Soap Opera. Today we're going to do a reading for Scorpio energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Scorpio. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy. We all have our dualistic nature in our Scorpio nature, just like all the other zodiac sign traits and characteristics that we can harness. Some people could be struggling within themselves right now to maybe make a decision. The bottom row can kind of represent our comfort zone. People might want to move forward in life a little differently. Some people already are, but other people could be battling within themselves to make a decision. Scorpio is represented by the death and rebirth card in tarot. And we'd have to maybe emotionally detach from certain habits or ways of viewing life or other people in our life. High vibe energy is being more independent, learning to love yourself and believe in yourself. Oh, and the reason for the bottom rose reading is a false person. Oh, and underneath that is the official person. Do we operate more from our ego and let our more self-protective defensive nature, or more caught up in our ego? Kind of don't want to shine our authentic light in the world, live our more authentic life, uh, don't want to stand up for ourselves and our truth, don't want to, the gift is underneath that, but you have to be willing in the adjudication card to hold yourself accountable. Some people would maybe feel like they'd be judged and, for what they love, their truth, what they'd really like to go invest their time, energy, and effort into. In high vibe, it would be truth and love. And some people could not be investing in the things or people or the career fields or whatever that is really more aligned with their truth. And their ego could hold them back. So let's go look at the bottom row. We start out with a card not showing itself, which is the family room, which can talk about like behind closed doors, and it kind of can represent the mind. Maybe what other people don't see is that, life is about learning these lessons in life. And sometimes we kind of go on a journey in life and then it's like, oh shit, no, I shouldn't have done that. And maybe, why did I do that? And, we're fallible human beings. We can be attracted to people, we can be tempted by things. Are we willing? The false person can kind of represent our ego. Are we willing to admit, oops, I made a mistake? Yeah, I'm a fallible human being. I was tempted by this, tempted by that, had some growing up and maturing to do. Some people have a harder time with that than others. The people who do work through it, initially there can be shame, but you accept the gift. You learn the lesson you're meant to learn, and it's almost like, wow, yeah, would I wish I would have went about things differently, and do I wish I'd been more grown up and less immature and less codependent and blah blah blah? Yeah. Or didn't get caught up in things that I thought would make me happy. Yeah. But then when you do, the truth sets you free. And then it's kind of like then the shame can go away because you're almost happy that it happened because you learned such valuable life lessons from it. And what if you would have not, you had life lessons. We all have life lessons to learn. And sometimes, if we were perfect, we'd keep doing the straight and narrow, and we'd keep making the right choices, and we'd keep listening to our intuition and love, and being just and fair, and tempering our immature nature and our ego nature. But we're fallible human beings, and sometimes some people in a more shadowy energy, sometimes people are hiding, they're very shadowy, but then they can put a lot of work and effort to present themselves, and could put a lot of work and effort into having a certain status or image in the world, or maybe because of their looks or because of their status, or uh, people they hang around or something. It kind of helps create an illusion about the type of person they are. And there could be other people in those people's lives who know they're shadowy. I know that person isn't who they present themselves as being, but they too, can want to try to protect those people and aren't willing to kind of stand up for themselves and say, I think this is unjust and unfair, and I'm not kind of going to cover for you anymore. I think that was wrong, and I'm going to say I think it was wrong. I mean, not like, yeah, go tell everybody, but I'm kind of keeping my distance from you because I think you're immature. I think you're bossy. You're all about yourself. But, you know, the bottom row, we've all got people in our life that are fallible human beings also, and we can know they're fallible human beings, and we can always hope other people will change. And sometimes, people have people in their life who are trying to offer them truth and love and be a good leader and try to be loving and encouraging in their life. And, we can have a really hard time calling judgment on some people in our life that we think are kind of immature or shadowy or manipulative or immature. And so then, we don't want to call judgment on them, and then we might not want other people to see the truth of who they are. And so then we kind of invest in the illusion, and we can invest in the illusion for a long time because we buy into the illusion and we believe what people are telling us. And we can keep trying to move things forward in a more just and fair way. And it's kind of like our intuition and God is kind of like, this is keeping you stuck in a cycle. This person isn't being just and fair. This person isn't acting with character and integrity. Take the lesson, call judgment on it. If they're not acting in truth and love and acting with character and integrity, wish them peace and go on your way. Some people could be doing that right now. Some other people have done that. Other people are still in the midst of it. And part of it is in our more worldly nature, because either we love them and we don't want to see that we're kind of in a more codependent or kind of toxic or imbalanced where we can kind of keep indulging people in their poor behavior to our own detriment. Love is supposed to be just and fair, and even with friends and family member, people are supposed to treat each other the way they like to be treated. But, there's people in the world that are very loving and giving. They think everybody's motivated and inspired by love, and they have a hard time accepting that not everybody is. In a world of duality and free will, some people are very loving, giving, encouraging, and supportive. And there's other people in the world like, well, that's great. Let's get in a relationship. Let's be friends. Let's get married, and that's not my truth, but, you know, uh, if you kind of buy into my false mask, hey, works for me. It'll work for me so long as you don't want to call judgment on me and hold me accountable, or until you see the truth that not standing up for truth and justice is going to keep you in an imbalanced relationship. And the people who are on the opposite side of it, who are benefiting in some way, they're okay with it. Works for them. It's their idea of the dream life. So, next we have the unexpected income in the pathway. I kind of view the unexpected income as the Six of Pentacles. But the whole thing is, when we don't want to see the truth, when someone doesn't seem to have learned some lessons in life, because life is all about kind of learning these lessons and tempering our more immature nature, being more about ourselves, being bossy or controlling or lazy or whatever, to be more mature, work together with people in a more just and fair and balanced way. There's always going to be people in the world who are hiding why they want to go on a journey with people. I want to work here just for the paycheck. Do I give a damn about you or anybody else here? Even like the job? No, give me my paycheck. There's people at that extreme, and then there's people who are great to work with and they like their job, and they're loving and encouraging to other people. And then there's people who are the opposite, for example. And some people are all about themselves. The official person can be, I want, and shadow can be more about the world. I want to have a certain status and image in the world. I want other people to invest in me. I want people to view me a certain way. I want judgment to go in my favor. And sadly, some of the people in the world, instead of choosing truth and love and acting with character and integrity, decided, I think I can manipulate the justice system. I'm going to try to present myself maybe as that type of person, some of them, but that's not really the truth of who I am. It's more just for how it benefits me. And we have to make those decisions kind of in the unexpected income. About the Six of Pentacles, we have these two Three of Pentacle foundations. We have the knowledge of the tree of good and evil within us. We have our more worldly nature. We have our more hopeful, believing nature. Some people chose, I'm going to sacrifice this and choose that instead. And that's also kind of what the Six of Pentacles can be. I exchanged this for that. High vibe people exchange their more worldly nature for their more high vibe, hopeful, believing, loving nature. And then they could have went on that journey and they had to learn that, oh, but it's got to be balanced. I can, at any point in time in our life, who knows when that happens, that we choose, yep, I'm kind of more motivated and inspired to have hope and faith and belief and love. And other people are like, no, that's not my truth. I'm kind of more, I think I should work more with these things of the world, make it more about the world or more about me or whatever. Love, I get hurt. I don't think that's my truth. I think I'd rather maybe live more from my mind than my heart, is what some people could be hiding, because this card means kind of behind closed doors that people can't see, which is kind of like the mind. And the feminine figures can talk about how we think and feel. And, we can get in these more imbalanced, mismatched relationships because it's kind of like, if you haven't learned that some people in the world, that when they're bossy and controlling and prideful and immature and lazy, that is because they have free willingly chose and enjoy that. If they wanted to do something different or be a different type of person, they would. So, but loving people can have a hard time accepting that other people really are shadowy. Love heals all. Love has the potential to heal everything. It is the highest vibration. But people have to be inspired within themselves to walk that path and go on that journey of learning to get more balanced within themselves, be inspired to put in the work and effort it takes to keep growing and healing and maturing yourself and tempering, not indulging yourself in poor behavior. And we've all been on that journey, and the word of despair comes up next. Where we gave up, or some of the people in our life that we thought, and we as human beings can, we want community and relationship and friendship, that we're looking for other people, hopefully to go on that journey with us, but it really, we can have loving and encouraging people in our life, but we have to come to realize that it's really a solo journey of emotionally kind of growing up and maturing ourselves and learning to love ourselves. So the people who did work through some things, they got balance within themselves. They learn lessons, because I view the wealthy man as the King of Pentacles, which is in high vibe about learning lessons and freeing yourself from things that manipulate you. And then being the main female in your own life, you're, choosing to align emotionally with your more hopeful, believing nature. And when you do that, your shadow nature will not like it. We have this dualistic nature. It's kind of like there is that part of us that wants to do lust and greed and pride and ego and all about me and be jealous and envious and blame everyone else for my problems and be whatever, self-indulgent. Our own shadow nature doesn't like it. When we say, no, I have this dualistic nature, but only one of them can be in the driver's seat, and I've decided to make the free will choice to accept that gift that I have, that I'm given by the universe, and I'm choosing to be a good leader in my life. And I'm going to offer love and compassion and forgiveness to myself for all the mistakes I've made. But my shadow nature, my more immature nature, my more egoic nature is not going to run my life anymore. And neither are the people in my life who are in more shadowy energy or still caught up in that. My shadow nature goes in the back seat, and my more high vibe nature is going to be driving my life from now on. And learning that lesson that if I keep looking to other people, I could keep being disappointed, and I could keep feeling rejected, and I could keep feeling less than or unworthy until I go on this journey within myself to love my own shadow nature, to love and believe in myself, be my own best mother, father, coach voice in my own head, to be in this energy within myself. And the Judication card kind of reminds me of the Justice card, which is Libra energy, about balance. I need to learn to get balance within myself. I need to learn to play that role within myself. Then I will be in this energy, and I keep my shadow nature at bay, kind of, where I've learned enough lessons in life that my shadow nature took me on some journeys in life that just led to despair. And then I got in relationships and friendships with people. We were all on this journey, me and some of the people in my life. We've all went on this journey, went through many cycles together, and we're still moving forward together, continuing to learn these lessons and grow and mature ourselves. And some people in our life, when we were on that journey, other people moved ahead of us. And then as I'm on that journey, I could be ready to free myself from some ways of being that I realized only lead to despair. But at one time I thought, oh yeah, that is living the life. That's the dream. I'm going to go invest in that. I'm going to go do that. That'll make me happy. Because we kind of get manipulated by our shadowy nature, our immature nature, by the world, by other people. Oh, look, those people are doing that. Oh, look, those people seem happy. Oh, look, those people have that. Oh, look, oh, that must be what made them happy. I'm going to go do that or invest in that or try to have that. I'm sure I'll be happy. Well, it's kind of Scorpio is emotional water sign, and it's about exploring the mysteries of life. We go on these journeys to try to help us get more clear about what is our truth and what isn't. We get in all these different friendships and relationships, and the families that we're born into, and our brothers and our sisters and extended family and the neighborhood and the community and the state and the country. All of it is to try to our own unique journey that is different from other people's, and our truth is different than other people's truth. High vibe, high vibe is like I've learned to hold myself accountable for my actions. I'm not so prideful, I am unwilling. And there's some people that are sad right now because they keep defending, turning their back on the gift, and they keep deciding to kind of indulge their more immature, shadowy, prideful, lazy, bossy, controlling, fearful, whatever nature. And while they did that, that's what they chose to kind of invest their time, energy, and effort into. Other people put work and effort into healing from their past pain and heartbreak, working through their fears and insecurities, offering themselves love and compassion to get more balance within themselves, to grow and mature themselves, to love themselves. And those people moved on. And the people who keep refusing to want to deal with the truth of something or believe in themselves, love themselves, shadowy energy, again, can be codependent energy. I haven't learned to love myself. I'm going to look outside of myself to find other people to love me. Well, there's going to be people in the world who are willing to be in a relationship, but they maybe haven't learned to love themselves either. Or they like to harness this energy in a more shadowy way, and it's like wanting to be God in your life. Yes, I will be loving and encouraging and supportive to you to a degree. For you to become a more stable, grounded, mature person, that's good for my ego and my image. That works for me. Oh, but then, by the way, don't ever accept that gift. It's kind of like living in communist China. I am willing to work with you, but never for you to become free and think for yourself and adhere to a higher truth and justice. I am your truth and justice. If I say that's right or wrong, that's right or wrong. If I say you should do this or you shouldn't do that, then you should or you shouldn't. But you don't listen to your own truth and your own conscience. And we can get in relationships with people who we feel like, oh my gosh, they seem to be much more mature, more stable, more grounded than some other people I've known. Oh my gosh, and they seem to be more loving and encouraging. Oh my gosh, I've met my soulmate. And then you go on the journey with them. And as you maybe heal and grow and mature in the relationship, and then, it's like, hey, I kind of grew up and matured myself and worked through some of my fears and insecurities. Let's go. Let's go on this journey. And they're like, damn, no, I don't want to do that. You can go. I'm going to go start this over with someone else. Because we can all want to be in relationships where the other people are the people who have to change. Even high vibe people can do that. And that's why, oh, look, that person's sad. Oh, look, that person is kind of defensive to love or something like that. Oh, things didn't work out for that person. And you can be a loving and encouraging person. The difference is the high vibe people want other people to keep growing and healing and maturing themselves because they're in high vibe energy. They want to keep healing and growing and maturing themselves. Like, keep going on this adventure. Everything we go pursue isn't going to turn out the way we want. As we go on this journey in life, we're going to meet people who are more unwilling to work with us cooperatively from love. I view the despair card as like the Five of Cups, which is Scorpio energy. Not everybody who we could get in friendship and relationship, it can go great for a while and then, you know, they can start acting shadowy. Why is that person acting shadowy? Why is that person being kind of hurtful or unkind or acts like they don't want to be around me anymore or whatever? Well, the whole thing is people have their own issues and they're either willing to, and not everybody has to tell us their business, right? So some people might have some things that kind of are going on in their life or issues they haven't dealt with or things that manipulate them, that it could get to a point in a relationship where, this could be kind of like the getting to know each other phase. And then as we're moving forward, um, then it could be a more becoming a more, where a little more balanced, but some issues that affect them. And again, it could be I have a lack of trust in other people, their own fear because they've been manipulated by other people or other things going on in their life that we don't know of. You know, uh, Shadowy Scorpio, that some people can be really challenging and really hurtful and really unkind. Some people it's just like, well, I don't know what's going on. And if they don't want to tell me the truth of what's going on, that's their right. Can I be sad? Yes. But if I feel there is something that is going on that's going on behind the scenes that I don't know about, and it's kind of affecting the relationship moving forward or how they're kind of interacting with me that I don't think is kind of being just and fair, I will probably wish them peace, but I'm going to let you work on that. And if I see them out, can I treat them the way I treat anybody in the world? Yes, I don't want to be someone who maybe contributes to issues, right? I want to be a good leader in the world, uh, be an uplifting kind of energy in the world, and they can choose to do what they want to do. And if at some future point in time they want to tell me, they can tell me, and we'll see where things go from there. But then there's other people who kind of maybe had these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. And some people could have gotten in a relationship that they shouldn't have gotten into. And the only reason they maybe got into it was because they were sad and they wanted to feel better. Well, that was probably not going to work out well. And some people are in those kind of relationships right now. And they're in a more mismatched relationship. And they both could have gotten in the relationship because they were sad. Or some other relationship didn't work out. Or people in their life weren't in their life anymore. And, but there too, with some of the people that come into our life, um, we could have been helped each other be loving and encouraging people in a way to each other to help each other work through some of that, whatever we could have been going through. And what's kind of interesting is sometimes people who are shadowy and don't have good intentions, and it is really just more about them and how it benefits them. Just so it's kind of like being in a fake environment, kind of like a plant being in a greenhouse, or like in the movie Truman, when Truman grew up in kind of like a fake reality, right? The intention and the truth wasn't really there, but people can still thrive in that type of environment because it's like, and the people who are motivated and inspired to thrive, and it could have been a better environment than what they were in before. Or again, the people were willing to work with them more cooperatively, maybe in a more just and fair way than some other people had been willing to work with them. Or they came into relationship when they were sad. But even if one person's intentions aren't good, the other person can still thrive in it, because it's kind of like if you equated human beings to being a tree. A tree doesn't have free will, and a tree will search for the light and go around the corners and go through the hole and up through the dirt and up through the rocks, the drought, whatever, because it's motivated and inspired. And high vibe energy is to free itself from all these different things that manipulate them. So even if people come into our life who have negative intention or bad will or something, it can still, even though we didn't see the truth of it, we were kind of deceived. And then when we kind of see the truth, we could be sad. But the whole reason we could have been kind of brought together was there was some valuable lesson to be learned from that life experience. For one, to learn that everybody isn't who they present themselves as. People can wear a false mask. People can seem to be in kind of high vibrational energy in a lot of ways, but the truth is they're more motivated by how it benefits them, or the ego or the image or the status of it, not really love. And so the Five of Cups can feel like feeling like our loving nature was emotionally manipulated. But did it, for one, just really getting clear about that, where before we maybe wanted to stay in denial of the truth of that. And it's like, okay, I get it, God. Not everybody's motivated and inspired by love, which I could have been on a journey of heartbreak, because I keep thinking everybody's more motivated and inspired by love if you in high vibe Scorpio are. Um, but we have to understand too, we might be motivated and inspired by love, but we also have to be willing to grow and mature ourselves and hold ourselves accountable, because there can be people in the world like, I'm loving and I'm willing to do love and I want to be in loving relationships. And yeah, but are you willing to grow up and emotionally mature yourself and take accountability for your actions if you're kind of shadowy and immature? Shadowy nature can be, I want to play both sides of the fence. I want to be this, but I also want to be that. It's like, well, then you probably need to be in a relationship with someone who wants to be this and also be that, and the two of you can fight it out. But if someone who knows they're more motivated to be about themselves or things of the world, it would be nice if they got in relationships with people who are more about themselves or motivated to be in relationships just for these things of the world, and leave the people who want to do love alone. And some of those people kind of learn that because people can be juggling, kind of going back and forth, like, well, I don't really know, still kind of haven't figured it out that, oh, I got to pick a path. And the people who want to keep juggling or be two-faced, um, the people who've picked a path one way or the other are probably going to move on from them. And that's what some people can be sad about. They could have been in relationships with people who are more motivated and inspired by love, but up here we have the expectation in the courthouse. We have the main male and the mature woman. And it's like, if I do that, I have to be more emotionally mature. And if I do this path, I could be a little bit more about maybe myself or these things of the world. So, and we all do that in our life. We have people who are more loving and encouraging and probably more have our best interest at heart, aren't trying to manipulate and control us, aren't out for their more self-interest. But we got these lessons to learn. Why? Because God wants us to get justice. But if we still haven't learned these lessons and we're still in thinking we can indulge our more immature nature and indulge other people in poor behavior, and we haven't learned to maintain balance within ourselves and require other people to maintain balance, if God were to give us our divine inheritance, it could be taken away because we haven't learned these lessons yet. So the people who went on these journeys and went through their share of pain and heartbreak, and people who they viewed as loving, and some of them could have been loving and we could love them, but some of the people, we can have, just like we can be in relationship with people, those people could have a hard time calling judgment on some people in their life. And their idea of the dream life is for everybody to move forward. And they, just like us, can have people in our life who are being loving and encouraging, but it's like, but these people, I want them to come with too. It's like, the other people could be like, I think those people, they're kind of doing what they're doing. I don't think they're coming now, if ever. And other people could decide, I can't. If those people don't go, I don't go. And, whoever that is, if it's their friend group or their original family, or, even if it's, eventually everybody is kind of an adult. Some people can need more help and assistance in our life than others. But we also have to see the truth of people who maybe don't want us to go live our more authentic life, or high vibe energies being more independent. And that sometimes some people are like, oh no, I'd just be so sad, or I don't know if we can be friends anymore, if I want to hang out with you, or if you go live your more authentic life and become independent of me, or I'd be so sad, or I should, sometimes people can have friends and family in their life, and those people want to be the primary foundation in their life, even if other people are getting married to other people. Well, go ahead and marry them, but then let us be the primary foundation in your life. And some people, have this conflict within them because they do view their friends or their original family as their primary foundation, but they also want to be in a relationship or marriage or start a family. And then it's always kind of going back and forth. And then some of the people they get in a relationship or a marriage with, or, they realize that these people have some unresolved issues and they're not really ready to move forward in a new beginning because they kind of have divided loyalty, and a house divided can't stand. And there could be some people again that There's people they would like to invest in, but again, this divided loyalty, well, my friends don't like them or my family doesn't like them. Well, how do your friends and your family live their life? Is this more aligned with your truth? Other people like to live their life a certain way, might not like a certain person because that person, well, they don't do what we do. It's like, well, do you want to keep doing what you do or do you want to do what those people do? You know? And some people are sad because they're not willing to stand up to their own shadow nature and their ego nature, their worldly nature, other people in their life. And so they're going to keep investing in repeating this pattern. Kind of hiding behind the scenes. It's not maybe really what they want to be doing, but because they're so manipulated by their ego, don't want to speak the truth, don't want to take accountability for their actions, fear of maybe being responsible for other people, haven't learned to counteract all the negative voices in their head. And then, it's kind of like the people in our life can represent, I mean, they are their own human beings, don't get me wrong, but we have people in our life that kind of represent and have those traits and characteristics of our more high vibe nature. And then we have people in our life that kind of represent those more shadowy natures within ourselves, you know? Um, and high vibe energy is just even being independent of the world. And some people's truth, I kind of look at the pathway card kind of as a kind of like a Virgo energy of what our long-term goals are and what our truth is. And some people could be sad even having to see the truth that and acknowledge to themselves because they could always like to view themselves as, I'm not selfish, I'm not greedy, I'm not more about myself, I'm not more codependent, I don't try to manipulate people, I'm not more materialistic, I'm not more self-centered. But as their life, it's kind of like, it's not here, but the adjudication card could kind of be like it, is the Tower card, where things kind of keep happening in our life. Judgments being called, other people calling judgments on us, um, things happening in our life trying to show us this is not the truth. But in our Scorpio nature, we can have so much fear of change or doing things differently or dealing with the truth. We want to keep burying it under the surface. But there could come a time with some people where, it's kind of like, say you live your life and you think your life is going like this and you view yourself as this type of person, but then maybe you start drinking too much, right? And then boom, things happen in your life, and then maybe boom, another thing happens in your life, and you're like, it could be like this cognitive dissonance. I viewed myself like this and thought my life was going that way, and I like to view myself as this type of person, but these kind of things keep happening in my life. I kind of need to see the truth that I might want to stay in denial of, that some of these things I might indulge in or invest in is kind of not moving my life forward in the way I wanted. And it really kinds to be a contradiction to the truth of how I like to think of myself or how I live my life. Like, it keeps being blasted in my face periodically in these tower moments. And then, you know, it's kind of like you thought, I don't know, it's kind of like the divine just trying to show you it's not going to work out this way. It either is going to kind of be more of the reality of what it is, or something needs to change. And some judgments need to be called on some things that, if you want this, you have to call judgment on this. And if people do that, that's true abundance. Learning lessons is and self-insight, self-awareness, growing and maturing yourself, dealing with the truth. That is truly being an abundant, wealthy person in the world. Because you're emotionally growing and maturing yourself and hopefully learning to love yourself, not give up on your dreams. You call judgment on things you need to call judgment on, and standing up for yourself, not giving up on yourself, not giving up on your dreams. Then we could communicate that judgment to some other people in our life. It's been fun. It's been real, but I'm going to move forward in life a little differently. I'd love to have you come with, offering that gift for people to come with. We can still hang out and do some things. Some things it's just that people have to do them in a more balanced way. Moderation, balance is how we move forward more victoriously. I think life is meant to be enjoyed. Um, people who know that something is more of an addiction for them have to watch and do that. But other people, it's like, I was just getting kind of tipped out of balance and I could have been making some things more important in my life than I should have for making me happy, or looking to other people instead of putting in work and effort within myself and my own unique interests or my education or something. Um, and then we offer truth and love to other people if they want to come with. And for a long time, in the expectation card, emotionally, because that's a feminine figure, we can sit there, and the reason for the top rose reading is the message, waiting for someone to communicate. I have learned some of those same lessons, and I kind of saw the truth, and I saw what was kind of manipulating me. And some people do. And the people who hold themselves accountable in the courthouse can be people that we keep moving forward with in life. And other people, we have to accept the truth in the courthouse that there's a time to wait for other people to maybe grow and heal and mature themselves. But if we look at any issues that we've had to deal with within ourselves and really kind of thought about, how many times and how many years did I tell myself I was going to do this or stop doing that? And it could take years and decades, changing the what we think and ways of viewing life, or how we feel about ourselves, and what we think is just and fair, and what we believe we're capable of. That changes slowly over time. I mean, some people could have a light bulb moment, but that's few and far between. It takes a lot of work and effort emotionally. So again, if I didn't mention it, I view the King of Pentacles as Capricorn energy. Anybody, and this card can represent male or female, it's how they're presenting themselves in the world and the action that they're taking. High vibe people have some of the same fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs, and went through some of the similar pain and heartbreak as other people. And of course, some people's is much worse. We got to understand that. But for people just in the normal role of life, um, not the extremes, um, they learn to keep listening to their intuition and loving and believing in themselves, and standing up when they realized shadowy ways of being within themselves or other people, and calling judgment on it and choosing love. I'm not willing to give up on myself. I'm not willing to give up on my dreams. And high vibe Capricorn, shadow of Capricorn is the devil. I am going to put in that work and effort to free myself emotionally, which is Scorpio energy, of things that try to manipulate me. That it's kind of like if our shadow nature could be in the driver's seat of our life, it'd be like the devil taking control of your life. Let's go do all the things. Let's do the lust and the greed and the pride and the ego and blame everybody and indulge in all these things that we think love isn't the answer. I'm going to do all these things to make me feel better. Our shadow nature doesn't care if we end up in the gutter. It's going to lick its fingers and say, damn, that was great. Because that's shadowy energy. But we have free will. We can choose. We, as the official person of our own life, we have free will. What will be our decision? And some people are like, maybe don't love and believe in themselves and decided, nope, I'm going to hide behind my ego. My hopeful, believing, loving nature, I'll look out through my eyeballs, but my ego is going to run my life. My more false persona person, I'm going to present myself as this just and fair and stable and grounded loving person that people should want to date, marry, be friends with, go into business, hire. But they're really operating more from their ego, and they're tipped out of balance more in favor of being about themselves or the things of the world or their self-protective nature. And other people will come into contact with those people, and then, you know, those people might be sad that it didn't quite work out the way they thought. And then those people have the free will to decide, well, I don't know, am I okay with this? Is this what I want to manifest? And everybody has to take into account their own factors in life and um, situations. And some people will stay, and they'll stay in that job, that friendship, that relationship, that marriage, and other people won't. I think when high vibe, I think though, shadowy energy can be that you feel I have to work more with these things of the world. We could reject listening to our own creative, more inspired nature, investing in our own unique talent, skills, and interests. But I believe we have more to work with in the world. In a world of duality, we can work with more with the world and put more precedence and emphasis on that. Or we can believe we have something else to work with, and that's the more high vibe energy. I do have my more worldly nature, and I have my things of the world, but I also have my creative, inspired, intuitive, loving, and in Virgo and Taurus, my own unique talent, skills, and interests. And if I invest, it's kind of like if you invest in the gifts that were given to you and are aligned with your truth, that is where your destiny lies. But we might have to go on quite a journey to even find out what our things are. you know, I remember back, I was like 10 years ago doing landscaping or whatever around my house and everything, and doing stuff in the house. It's like, wow, who knew I would like this? But it's really nice to be working outside, and it is kind of hard work, but I really like seeing it, and I like seeing how it comes together. And who knew, that you'd think that maybe you'd like to be in a landscaping business, and then even doing things in your house. It's like, especially with all those TV shows that were on about it, it's like, wow, I do find this really interesting and whatever. If anybody would have asked somebody, you can, like when you're 18 and 21, I don't know what the hell. I might be kind of good at this and I kind of like those things, but I don't really know. And some people know before other people know. And some of us, we got a longer journey to go on to figure out what it is we like and we don't like. But if all those life experiences, if we're willing to kind of be more of seeing the gifts and the blessings and the lessons that we learned from it, we can take those with us. And then, instead of, so here we have, this is a wealthy man, which can be more invested in our ego. And here we have a main male, but we have a mature woman. So now being more invested emotionally, but in our more worldly nature of self, we now stand up and protect our more, being more inspired by our emotionally intuitive, creative nature and loving nature to guide the decisions we make in our life, where before we might have emotionally, whether we're male or female, wanted to do things in our life, but we deferred more to our ego nature, our fear, our insecurity, our want for these certain things in the world. And now for some people, it's kind of flipped. And there could be people you communicated with, could have been people who at one time were waiting for you to communicate with them. And then you communicate with them, and then they're like, oh shit, I was kind of like, I left that relationship and I kind of stayed here or situation, and they didn't keep kind of maybe growing and healing and maturing themselves in some way. And by the time the other people pop out, you know, they've done that work within themselves. I mean, it can be kind of crazy. Like sometimes if you or someone were to think that there was someone in my life that I feel like I maybe missed an opportunity with. And well, maybe when we knew them at X age, we were kind of on the same page. But then as we went on parallel paths, they could have went on a parallel path where they kind of kept doing the same thing in a way, kind of repeating an old pattern. And other people were learning and healing and growing. So by the time people sometimes communicate with people, it's like someone who could have been thinking, oh, I would really want that person if I could be in a relationship with that person again. And then the opportunity comes up and realizes that person, you know, and it could make them kind of realize, like if someone were to tell someone, yeah, you know, some experiences that they went through and things they learned, and they kind of realize, oh shit, I'm that kind of person. I kind of have that philosophy of life and relationships. Or I do make those things the most driving factor for why I get in a relationship. And I thought you would still too, or that would be your thing. But you seem to, you know, kind of like being at a different grade level of life that I'm not at yet. Now, could those people start putting in work and effort to work through some of their fears and insecurities? And yeah, but again, sometimes some people, and we've all done it, um, kind of think, oh no, I'm just going to keep doing this. This is fine. We're just going to keep doing this. And if there was someone around in my environment that seemed to be the right kind of person, I'd put this down. Oh yeah, just no problem. I'd squash that. I'd go do that. Well, we're either kind of pushing the ball, rolling the ball of life kind of forward up a slight incline that takes some time, an effort. There would be moments of rest, but to think that we can keep kind of staying stagnant or even go back down the hill of life and like, oh no, if something came up, I would just push that ball right up that hill. It's much more harder than we realize. Like, and we also get in these habits, we get emotionally, and that Scorpio energy, we get emotionally tangled up in some things that we could become kind of more codependent on. We've kind of gotten ourselves in friendships and relationships, and then sometimes people find themselves in a situation. And then what if you meet someone that does seem to be the right person, where if I hadn't kind of decided, oh, well, there's no one offering me that, so I'll just go do this. Well, then, you kind of start to build your life around that. And hopefully you care for those people and, you built friendships and community. And then, and then some people could realize, wow, and especially if they realize that kind of a lot of the reason I did this was for some of these other reasons. I was sad. I hadn't learned to love myself. I was looking for someone to love me. It was the status or the ego or the image or the fear, or the whatever, right? I don't know. That's why as other people move forward in their life, they can offer truth and love to people, but it's knowing that everybody else has their own commitments and family obligations or whatever. And it's not as easy to work through those things. And we know from some of the things that we had to work through and we really struggled to make some decisions is very hard. And so, again, just to decide, it's kind of like listening to our intuition communicating with us. It's time to move forward. There can be people in our life, whether it's adult, child, brother, sister, mom, dad, romantic interest, friend, that we would like to have move forward with us, but we all have to listen to our intuition that it's time to move forward because we're trying to manifest what we're trying to manifest, and we need to work together with people who are on that same page at that same time. And at one time, we could have been on the same page with some people, then we got off the same page. And with some of those relationships, it's time to move on from them. And some other people could have a harder time moving on. I mean, everybody has different pain, heartbreak, loss, or grief. But sometimes it's that we don't want to see the truth that they're probably making the best decision based on where they're at and how they think and how they feel and what they're driven and motivated by, and to accept the truth of it and get out of our ego about it. Because if we kind of think some things might trap them, in turn it traps us. And so high vibe energy is like, be a good leader in the world, show how you overcome, show how, again, some people that you could have love for and they could know you love them, but you weren't willing to be manipulated by the same things that manipulate them, which in turn could be people in their life. As you take accountability and stand up for your truth, it kind of keeps illuminating that they're not doing that. And, eventually they kind of have to maybe face the fact too that I'm not willing to do that. And everybody can be sad, but we're either willing to do that work to stand up for ourselves and love ourselves, um, and not give up kind of our dreams and our truth, or we do give those up. And some people did. So, what's coming up for some people who have harnessed some high vibe Scorpio energy? Probably in relationships with people who are more letting their more emotionally intuitive, loving nature versus their ego nature or their defensive nature or being more about themselves nature run their life are the people you're going to keep moving forward with. And as you move forward, you're getting to know other people and trying to see who's wearing a false mask, who's not, getting to know them. And as you get to know them, it kind of communicate kind of who you're kind of more keeping your distance from and who you're more investing time, energy, and effort into. What is coming up for the high vibe Scorpio? The Five of Wands, the Six of Swords, the Three of Wands, the Strength card, and the Two of Pentacles. And the reason is because of the Eight of Wands. So, because in the Eight of Wands, it's high vibe Sagittarius, about being inspired to wrap your brain around this game of life and to get to the truth, and inspired to want to get to the truth and wanting to move forward. You have both the Six of Swords and the Three of Wands, Aquarius and Aries energy, talks about you have a dream you want to bring into reality. You could have had inner conflict in the past about doing that in the Five of Wands, which can kind of be in your ego about it. And the difference between the Five of Wands and the Eight of Wands is the Three of Wands. And the difference between the Eight of Wands and the Three of Wands is the Five of Wands. We had to let go of an old dream from the 5 to the 8 is the 3. I had to let go of an old dream that I thought was going to come into reality. And I had to see the truth that my truth and how I want to move forward and what I'm inspired and my idea of the dream life is different than some other people's idea of the dream life. And I had to let go of that dream, and I had to work through my inner conflict to be able to deal with the truth. And now, being back in the Three of Wands, I've worked through my inner conflict. The truth set me free. And the 5, well, Aquarius can be, everybody has their dream and they have things that cause them inner conflict. They're either inspired to get to the truth of it, or they're not, or that is their truth. And they might have had inner conflict accepting the truth of that, and you might have had inner conflict accepting the truth of that. But you've worked through the inner conflict, and now you're back being inspired. Aries energy is about the self. So instead of being conflicted within yourself, you're now inspired within yourself because you were inspired to do the work to get to the truth. And you did. You held yourself accountable. You chose to love and believe in yourself and stand up for what you believe in. Told your truth to other people. They had then the free will to do that too. And basically they did. You know, maybe people didn't come right out and say it, but just by people, how people choose to act and react and interact, are they holding themselves accountable? Are they taking action? Or what are they taking action towards? It's like, I accept the truth. The people who do want that this is in alignment with their truth are the people who make that decision to work together with me in that way. And the people who don't, it's because they have probably inner conflict about that dream or that truth that behind it. You come out on the other side, not in your ego. Both the Five of Wands and the Strength card are Leo energy. You've tempered your ego now. You shed a layer of your more worldly, beastly nature, and you're more balanced within yourself. High vibe Capricorn, like the King of Pentacles, you freed yourself from how in your more worldly nature or a more imbalanced loving nature where you indulge people kind of in poor behavior, you're more balanced now. And as you move forward in that way, you're meeting, now you're freed up to go invest your time, energy, and effort into people who are more on that same page as you, because some other people have shown you that isn't their truth. And there's other people that you will meet and that will want to move forward with you because you are on the same page, just like all those other stages of life we went through. When I was 15, this was my truth. This is what I wanted to hang out and do. When I was 18, when I was 21, when I was 25, some of the people in my life kept moving forward with me. Some people didn't. Some people have moved on ahead of me, and I'm trying to, on my own little journey. And, but at different stages of my life, there could have been things I didn't want to keep investing more of my time, energy, and effort into. Wasn't as important to me as it was at one time. Not saying the people aren't important, but it's more the things that were the things that brought you together that you had in common. And there could have been love there, but the fives can talk about things changed. And part of that can just be that people change and are growing and healing and maturing at different times, and how they want to keep moving forward is kind of different. And so then we meet other people that seem to be more on that whatever page we're on next, and finding other people who are more on that page. I think high vibe people probably, aren't wishing ill will to people because they want more people to heal and grow and mature themselves, want other people to free themselves from things that manipulate them, whether it's just within themselves or other people. Want more balanced, healed, loving people in the world. And some people know that, and they could be sad they didn't choose that, but there's just things within them or the world at large or other people that kind of got a stranglehold on them. And until they choose to stand up for themselves, it's going to keep having a stranglehold on them. So it's coming up for some people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy, which can be they do not want to kind of connect in with their feelings, don't want to change, don't want to see the truth about something. We have two cards not showing themselves, and the reason is because of the Seven of Cups, which is Scorpio energy. They keep getting caught up in the illusion of something. I mean, they could be sitting here. Other people have moved on, and they keep waiting for someone else to change. If we were to look, to see how we are manipulated by our worldly nature also, with some of the people in our life, um, if there wasn't some of the worldly things more that came from that job, friendship, or relationship, would we be that wanting of it? And when we kind of see that it could be more of those worldly things that still manipulate us, but we don't want to see the truth of it. And some other people could have either codependency or these worldly things that they really wanted. And some of them still really want it. And it is all more about those things. And it's just looking to try to find someone who has those things that they want, or And they're creating this illusion. And they're probably wanting to stay in denial of the truth, not wanting to see how much other people or things or their own defensive nature or ego nature, being full of themselves nature, unloving nature, creating the illusion of love, but not really willing to do love. And some of them, don't want to see that truth about themselves or others, and maybe how the world or their ego or their fear manipulates them. But because they keep doing that, they're always going to have more high vibrational people in their life, friends or family or romantic interests that, try to help them move forward or want to be in friendship and relationship with them. But people can only kind of stay in denial of the truth. The adjudication card is like, eventually accountability has to kind of be assigned, and people kind of have to take responsibility for their share. And there can always be people who are like, no, they don't want to take any share, of anything. Or some people do want to move forward, and some other people keep creating the illusion. Oh, yeah, one day, but oh, yeah, because of these other things, I'm really worried about doing that. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to let you be really worried about moving forward in a new commitment or relationship because of what happened back here. Let me know if you ever work through it. But in the meantime, I have a dream of what I'm trying to manifest. And if that's not where you're at, I wish you peace and love. But I'm going to keep moving forward to manifest my dream of what I am trying to manifest. And if that's not where you're at right now, or that's not your truth, I wish you peace. Can we hope that some of those people work through some of those issues and one day communicate that they want to be friends again or something? Yeah, but we would, when they do, we're standing up for our more emotionally mature nature. We're not as naive and gullible or something as we were. And there was something that made us want to maybe kind of move on, and they didn't. And if we feel people are being truthful and honest and taking accountability, then we would. If they don't, I mean, some of the people we don't want to no matter what. I don't care. I'm glad. Wonderful. You completely changed your life. No, that was too painful, too hurtful, because some people go Scorpio scorched earth on you, and it's like burning everything down. And it's like, you did burn everything down. Did I work through all of that and stay in an energy of peace and love within myself? Yes. I hope you don't do that again. I hope you learn lessons from that life experience. Do I maybe want to be in a relationship with you ever again? No. Can I treat you like I treat other people out in the world? Yes. Do I want to purposely hang out with you anymore? No. you know? Some people keep having these illusions that they can do whatever because they either are so full of themselves, can't believe that anybody wouldn't want to be back in a relationship with them because they maybe have these things of the world or status or image or power, or because they have all these things that manipulate them, they love, and if they know you love them, they keep thinking, of course, they can manipulate you, and they keep being not wanting to see the truth. And just like some other people have moved on from their life, other people are going to move on from their life. And right now, they might have to hide the truth about why some other people moved on from their life. It's because the other people eventually realize that this more worldly, shadowy people create the illusion of bringing a dream into reality and growing up and maturing themselves and doing love, but it never happens. And the other people in their life work through how, because of their more worldly nature or some worldly connection they have with these people, it was keeping them caught up in the illusion and trapped with them. And the other people started to offer themselves that cup of love to make peace with the past. And now those people harness it in a more high vibe way. And the worldly shadowy people don't want to harness it in a more high vibe way. What is it? The Two of Pentacles and the Hangman. The Two of Pentacles can be there's someone who likes to juggle the truth, like to go back and forth. And the Hangman can be because they juggle the truth and aren't willing to speak the truth, hold themselves accountable for the truth, maybe did some things in the past. People want to know, I would like to move forward with you, but I want to know what happened back here. And they're like, can I juggle the truth? And the other people, though, have maybe had some life experience, listen to their intuition. I don't think you're telling me the truth. And again, why can't we admit we're a fallible human being who made a mistake? Well, some people don't trust other people, kind of a more shadowy Scorpio energy. Afraid maybe those people won't move forward with them. Maybe, well, I don't think they want to take accountability for their actions. And they might not see, even if they were to kind of tell the truth, other people might be like, oh my gosh, wow, I can't believe you did that. Why'd you do that? And they could tell that that person still could think it's like just and fair, unwilling to try to see it from the other person's perspective. While I can see why the other people left, they did not think it was just and fair. But kind of seeing how these people have these illusions, and the Hangman and can kind of be about wanting to see the truth, and that can be shadowy Scorpio. I'm kind of going back and forth about the truth. I don't know what the truth is. I'm confused. But instead of communicating with people in a more emotionally mature way, they might repeat some poor past patterns that, because shadowy Scorpio could be like being like a private detective in a relationship. But they want the truth. But they don't want to go about the truth in a more emotionally mature, just and fair way, like maybe communicating with their partners. Or how about they work with their partners and instead of being more maybe up in their head and fearful and defensive, because that can all be shadowy energy, how about they be more inspired by truth and love and have a little more hope and faith and belief in themselves and others? But they could lack that. And if they especially know that they're kind of creating an illusion and they're not being authentic, they could definitely have a hard time believing that other people are. And then it could be something that wrecks a relationship. And some other people in their life have kind of been going back and forth about maybe the truth about who they are, how they present themselves, if they're being truthful and honest and authentic, being maybe patient. But eventually, people can't keep staying stuck and confused. What the fuck is your truth? And eventually people are like, I'm done. I'm picking up my investment in this. I'm not going to stay stuck in this. This is your truth, and this does move forward in a more just and fair way, or it doesn't. And employees could tell that to employers. Employers could tell that to employees. Friends and family could tell it to friends and family, or romantic interests. If people have been trying to work together with people in truth and love and justice and fairness and the other people for whatever ways of being or acting that they have, eventually judgment day comes. And then people could wish they wouldn't have done it. It's like, how about during it? But I think, again, it's like, oh, well, these people are loving and encouraging. I know they love me. I don't think they'll ever call judgment on me. So basically, they want to keep getting away with shadowy ways of being. But then they can be in their ego that people call judgment on them. Interesting. The more stubborn, prideful, immature, not wanting to take accountability for their actions, self-indulgent, materialistic, lazy, stubborn people odds are they're going to keep doing this. And they are just going, well, that didn't work out the way I wanted, and they'll just go on probably trying to find someone else who they think is sad, tell them their sob story, and try to get those people to buy into the illusion of who they are. There was some people in their life that they thought could have been more like them. If there are people that are more kind of driven and motivated by the world, more from their ego, but present themselves maybe as more stable and grounded and loving, but really it's more about ego and image, they could have went to go get in a relationship with someone like that. And those people, what they didn't know that on their journey in life, maybe at one time in their life they were, but those people could have become more stable and enlightened to the truth and have more hope and belief in love than maybe they used to at some point in time in their life. And that relationship didn't work out. Or they get in a relationship with someone who they might think is more like themselves, but that person, you know, we're either all have to be willing to heal and grow and mature ourselves, or we're looking to find someone else where they have to do it. And they could get in relationships with other people who are more stubborn or more prideful than they are and unwilling to change. And some people are like, but I was in a relationship with another person and they worked through some things and they really grew and matured themselves and it was great, but they wanted to move forward differently. And I like to stay in my comfort zone. So then they could think, oh, I'll just go find someone else. And because of the person that they are, that the other people will want to grow and mature and heal themselves. And then it's kind of seeing the truth. Oh, wait, did that person not really grow and heal and mature themselves more because of who I am, but really because of who they were? And it can be a light bulb moment for everyone, like, and even us trying to change other people. Offer them truth and love and go on your way. Be a loving and encouraging person in their life when you see them. You are not God. You cannot change other people. But some of the people who did get kind of full of themselves, like, oh my gosh, I had someone who got in a relationship with me and it was like, great, I'm just going to go do that with someone else, thinking it has more to do with them than the person they were dealing with. And the person they were dealing with was inspired and motivated to change. And that's why they changed. And the people who don't want to change don't change. So get out of your ego about it. Wish people peace and love. Go on your way. And don't get emotionally tangled up in people that show you from the get-go that they have traits and characteristics and ways of viewing life or living life that aren't aligned with your truth. You can be a loving and encouraging person in their life, but keep your distance and go live your life. And if some of those people work through some of those things, then I guess they'll let you know, or they won't. So there you go, Scorpio. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.